going to play you a clip of Boomer Esiason talking about the New York Jets. Boomer joined our guy Brandon Tierney on his show, BT Unleashed, and it was a wide-ranging question that BT asked about Glenn and just the state of the team. And you'll see the end here is BT specifically asking about Muji, and then Boomer goes into details on the whole state of the team. So I'll play the clip, and then you tell me, is Boomer just saying this because he's best friends with Frank Reich, or does he actually believe what he's saying here about the New York Jets?
Stand on Muj.
Yeah, I think he's in control of the entire organization right now. I think he is definitely shown over the last year alone that he is not afraid to go big. And they have 3 first-round picks next year in what is supposed to be one of the best drafts in the history of the NFL. And I'm not just talking about quarterback, I'm talking about all positions.
Correct.
So it is going to be really interesting to see how this team unfolds this year. Their schedule's brutal. They got a lot of good quarterbacks that they're going to have to face. You know, my buddy is taking over as the offensive coordinator job. You know, where Muji failed last year, and I don't know how much of an impact he had on these particular decisions, was number one, the hiring of Tanner Engstrom as a offensive coordinator with a rookie head coach.
Yep.
And number 2, bringing in Justin Fields. So to me, those 2 decisions were really bad. Not that Tanner Engstrom's a bad coach, or someday maybe he'll be the head coach somewhere else, just like Mike LaFleur is the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals now. But having a seasoned offensive play caller who was a head coach himself, who is an ally of the head coach in Aaron Glenn, because they were teammates for the Jets, and is doing this because he loves the sport, he loves the opportunity, and he loves the chance to make a difference. They have what I believe is a top 10 offensive roster without the quarterback. The quarterback's going to be probably in the bottom 10 of the league just because of his age and just because of, you know, who he is and how his career has unfolded. But that's a reality. That's what they have. And they're going to have to try to make him, and every quarterback that's played for Frank has had some of their best seasons. So if Gino follows the roadmap, he should have a really good year. They're loaded at running back. They're loaded at wide receiver. Their tight end room is one of the best in the league, and their offensive line is as solid as there is in the NFL.
I love their Jets offensive line. So good. I'm with you.
So it's just the quarterback position, which when you look around the league and you look at the top 10 teams, are all the top 10 quarterbacks. And unfortunately for Gino, where he is in his career, that is not the case right now.
What do you make of those comments there from Boomer?
The thing that stands out and is 100% true, you always, not only do you want the coach who's in Reich's position, you know, he's not doing it for fame, for status, for moving on up in this world. He's doing it because he loves the sport. Not only do you want that type of guy, you know, he brings a different perspective to the room. You know, NFL's cutthroat. It's independent contractor city between players, between coaches. And that kind of guy is rare to come by. It really is. I mean, remember Peyton Manning? Who was his dude? Tom Moore. I think he had a guy before Tom Moore, but he always had that consultant type guy as a rookie quarterback. And, you know, having that type of guy, I think, is a really good positive. We'll see how it plays out. It'll come down to the strategy in terms of Reich blending what he loves to do, what he usually does. And I think, you know, looking at his teams, Philly, Carolina, so on, Indy, he does bend his philosophies to his personnel. If you look at Indy's stats, Jonathan Taylor off and on, year by year, up, down, up, down. And it's not because Reich came into the year with this grand plan, we're going to be a rushing team, we're not going to be a rushing team. It's just the way it unfolded, and he had to roll with the punches. A lot of it based on quarterback play, what have you. So that's fresh and good and a welcomed thing. Offensive line, I think we're going a little too far with the offensive line. I like it. I think it's a strength for this team, but this is the first year where there's going to be more traditional rules, and it's going to be a little tougher to transition to. I'm not saying they can't. They can. They're young. Membu, if Fashano takes the next step, then watch out. Membu too. Tittman as well. If those 3 elevate, that's ridiculous. That's a tremendous unit. Talent, sure. It could be top 10 without the quarterback, or even with the quarterback. It could be top 10. Why not? It doesn't come down to the names on paper. It comes down to how they're deployed, how they're put together. And Boomer knows that. And he didn't not, leave it out on purpose. He knows that. He's just, he's doing the optimistic thing. And, Frank Reich was his dude. And, it's tough to disagree with anything he said there.
I mean, I like Frank Reich compared to the other options, but I think we go a little crazy when we just talk about like Frank Reich as if he's like Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or Ben Johnson, or even like a similar example would be like Josh McDaniels, who was a head coach twice, and both times it wasn't good, and now is an OC once again.
Yep.
Like Frank Reich, he'll probably be better than Engstrand, but also like Tanner Engstrand was calling plays with a quarterback who couldn't complete a pass. So how much of that is on Engstrand, to be fair to him, right? Like LaFleur ended up being another head coach. And you look back on Mike LaFleur, like he was doing some things that were creative. It was just Zach Wilson couldn't play. So I think Boomer is not wrong with what he's saying. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as this is a top 10 offense minus the quarterback, because you're still projecting a lot of it for it to be a top 10. Like if I say to you the Jets have top 10 offensive players minus QB, that means you're telling me that Sadiq and Cooper are both going to be very good as rookies. Mason Taylor does, in fact, take a year or two leap. What we saw from A.D. Mitchell in the spring is real, and him and Gino are going to have a big-time season together, right? Like the offensive line, I think we like the O-line. I like Tippmann. I like Membu. I really like Olu Fashanu. But all those guys take another step forward, and then, like, you could live with Parham and Myers at center. Like, again, it's a lot of, like, if they can be that, I'm not going to anoint them as a top 10 offensive team minus the quarterback, though. That's where I think Boomer's a little too bullish on the roster.
It agreed. It's the on paper game that we all play. I mean, when there's nothing going on, and it is what it is. That's the on paper game, and no one's ever going to stray away from it at this time of year. I kind of flew by that in my mind. Like, if you want to call them a top 10 unit, go for it. It could be based on the names, based on the depth chart, perhaps. I really, to me, it doesn't really compute in terms of what is really going to drive significant and positive change if they get there. And that is the overall philosophy and overall plan. And that's not to say talent doesn't matter. Of course, talent matters. Of course, but this is the NFL. This is the salary cap NFL. When the salary cap came in the early 90s, Jimmy Johnson suddenly had a tougher time building teams. Why? Because he didn't have a team, 100 times more talented than everyone else, like those early 90s, late 80s. Well, not late 80s, but he started in the late 80s, Dallas Cowboys. It's a different world. The difference between these teams in terms of talent is so minute. The value and the impact can be great at certain positions, quarterback, obviously. But even then, we see quarterbacks fluctuate year to year. So coaches don't put fannies in the seats. They're not marketable. I get it. But we are in the age where that is the most important thing.
And look, Geno Smith is such an unknown, because are we getting the Raiders version? Are we getting the Seattle version? Are we going to get a guy who's focused and locked in and could go out there and produce and handle all the distractions that come with playing in New York? And can he avoid getting more speeding tickets and driving without a license? Like, there's a ton of unknown. The biggest two questions with the Jets, you could argue, are their head coach and quarterback, which happen to be the two most important things that define whether or not you're going to be a good football team year over year, typically.
Yes. And the one thing, it's not overlooked totally, but it's overlooked in terms of, okay, trying to stack things up and how the Jets can take a leap and jump out. The continuity. Essentially, this is a brand new coaching staff coming into this year. It's not the same as last year. Yeah, Glenn's still here, but everything is different. Everything. And how will they game plan? I commented, I saw you shouted out with BJF on the show the other day. The Athletics poll, I forgot what it was, but it was about Glenn, and they had different categories. Wanted the fans vote. They left the most important thing off: game planning. How do you leave that off? Game planning is the deal. The biggest, most impactful work happens during the week.
The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. All right, here's the next topic I wanted to hit with you, Robby, because you look at where the Jets are going into training camp, and a ton of the focus is going to be on these rookie players. Specifically, David Bailey, because he's going up against two really good tackles, we believe, once training camp starts. What are you looking to see from Bailey specifically this summer to make you feel better about the number 2 pick in the draft going into the regular season?
It's tricky in the summer. Everyone knows this. And it's when it comes down to pass rushing in camp, when you're not live, no pads even when there are pads, but no pads, the pass rusher has a tremendous advantage over the offensive lineman. Why? The lineman can't grab onto anything. It's almost flag football. And to try to guard a guy, it's like guarding Jalen Brunson in today's NBA. No hand checking. You just have to move. It's ridiculous. So I expect Bailey to have flashes in terms of getting to the quarterback. Obviously, you can't touch him, and they stop it and what have you. It'll be celebrated on Twitter. That's really good stuff. But what you really need to look for, what I'm really going to look for, is based on each play, is he attentive to his reads? Is he going through his reads and committed to his reads? And is he moving freely and instinctively going through those reads? Now, I don't know the play on each play, but you get a good idea if you really pay attention to the defense. And you know what an edge is supposed to do in certain situations. If it's 3rd and 8, they're going to let him loose in one-on-one. If it's 3rd and 8 and they want it to be more responsible and be more contained, you have less freedom, but you're still one-on-one. You just can't be crazy irresponsible. You can't go crazy. Can't get out of your lane and do the wrong thing for your teammates. Run defense is really where it's going to, I think that's going to be the best part, positive or negative for us. Run defense and 1 of 11. Those are the two things. Does he go through his reads and really hone in on them and not look mechanical while doing so? That's going to be huge.
As far as Kenyon Sadiq goes, we'll go in order of the top 50 picks here and get your thoughts. What do you want to see from him? First things first, I want to see he better be healthy, because we were promised that this hernia thing is no big deal, and he's going to be out there for the start of training camp. He's doing autograph signings at Fanatics Fest on Sunday. Didn't look like he was struggling to move or sign anything with that hernia, so I'm hoping Sadiq is ready to roll day one. In fact, Jet rookies report Friday for training camp, so they report earlier than the veterans do. So I want Sadiq out there ready to roll, fully healthy, coming off the hernia surgery.
Yeah, I want to see Adam Shine introduce him with a megaphone, use Woody's helicopter and just introduce him, do his whole freak thing. And that's enough for me, honestly.
I was obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. 7 days a week, has a hernia tweak. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Trying to critique what I read in Newsweek. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Trying to take a peek at his manly physique. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Time to take a leak and play hide and go seek.
Time to take a leak. Time to take a leak. Okay. Yeah, Sadiq, look, and this is going to be the tricky part, because you really can't report on formations and personnel and sets. So, fans are going to be chomping at the bit to know. I think it's champing at the bit, actually, but to know what Reich is doing with Sadiq. And that's going to be tough to not report on. But I think that's where it starts. Do they view Sadiq from the get-go as a balanced tight end or not? And it'll be very evident if they do not, because he's going to play a lot more receiver positions, big slot. out of 11 personnel, but it'll be 12 personnel, Mason in line and Sadiq big slot. Is he entrenched, or does he eventually become entrenched as the second balanced tight end in 12 personnel where they're both in line or wing or moving, or one is H-back or not? Because this is a scenario where they don't view him as a balanced enough guy, and it's going to be Mason Taylor, Rucker, and a lot of 12 personnel, and fans are going to lose their minds, and I completely get it. So I think it starts there. How do they view him from the get-go? That's going to be important.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.